Your colleague, Paul Perillo, was on this station yesterday and I believe confirmed an allegation of a lack of maybe energy from the attendees at day one of camp. What was the vibe down there yesterday, Mike?
Well, I mean, look, I don't think the field isn't filled with Hall of Famers anymore. So it wasn't the overwhelming major crowd that I think you've seen in a few years ago. I mean, I think this is kind of how things have been the last couple years. But look, I mean, it's a new start, and I think you've probably seen the highlights now that the Drake May throw to Jalen Reagor up the sideline. So I think Paul would also tell you that Drake May's a pretty intriguing athlete, and every time he kind of moves around a little bit or gets outside the pocket or has to throw on the move. There's some intrigue there. So, look, I know Tom Brady, Randy Moss, all those superstars aren't out there anymore, but, hopefully the fans will start to see this new core and start to see these guys and get some excitement. And, I mean, I didn't think it was terrible. I do go out there before the practice and hype up the crowd. So, we have people, as always, coming in from all over, fan from Germany.
What? Hold on. Back up.
Exactly. Yeah, me too. I got my ear too.
Yeah.
What?
Okay. I thought Sarge was the hype man for training camp.
Well, I guess I'm a supplemental hype man. I mean, Sarge gets them going, and then me and Tamara come out, and we make sure they're getting to that next level. We make sure they get to the where they need to be. But
how do you do
Sarge
that?
says,
how does one do that?
Yeah.
How do you specifically do that?
Just with Patriots passion, Hardy. That's me. That's what I got through and through. We could be rolling out the worst team in the NFL. I'd be psyched to be out there. But no, it was a good crowd. Talked to people up from Atlanta, so hopefully things continue to grow. And I'd expect Sunday. You get a weekend day. People got work off and stuff. It should be a better crowd.
No, you're trying to slip out of that one. How did you do it yesterday specifically? What was the hype program that people need to know?
Yeah, well, I mean, what to watch? I mean, look, they got Drake May. I mean, that's, pretty exciting. There's some Christian Gonzalez coming back. Matthew Judon's back on the field. I'm sure we'll talk about him in a second. So look, it is what it is right now. It's a new start, and that's what you have to hype up a little bit. But I got to tell you guys, I mean, like Drake May looks like a third overall pick, and watching some of the hard knocks with the Giants and how desperate they were to try to get into the top three to get that quarterback, even though they got Malik Neighbors. It's going to be a while. I don't know what Drake May is going to be. But I think there's certainly I can easily find some excitement to watch that kid play football and develop on the practice field.
Okay, you're speaking my language here because I told these guys earlier, it is so clear to me that Drake May is their best quarterback, no matter what they say about Jacoby Brissett. What they're saying about Jacoby Brissett is, I heard Gerard Mayo say, he's the most pro-ready guy. That's like saying an adult in the kiddie pool is the most experienced. Yeah, you're an adult. You're older than everybody else. Of course, you're the most pro-ready. That's not really an endorsement. How long do you think it will take for Drake May to assert himself and actually become the starting quarterback for the Patriots?
That's a great question. I mean, I hope sooner than later. I mean, it's what are we waiting for is kind of the vibe. I mean, I get what they're saying about Jacoby knowing the offense and knowing where to go with the ball. And, I think it's hard because I think we're going to watch training camp over the next few weeks. And you're going to see some of these splash plays from Drake May that, those stand out. Those are what get fans talking. And, meanwhile, Jacoby Brissett, he might be doing all the right things and hitting the right check down and all that kind of stuff. But when the fans are watching that doesn't get everybody excited. So I think there's going to be, probably a groundswell just based on what Drake May looks like out there. But I have to say, I want him in there as soon as possible. I just want to start taking the mistakes. I don't worry about the offensive line getting injured, all those things. It can happen to anybody with any offensive line. The sooner you start the clock on Drake May, the sooner you're going to know what you have, the sooner you get him experience. So, no disrespect to Jacoby Brissett. I'm sure he'll probably at least roll the first couple of weeks, but I'd love to see Drake May in there within the first, month or two of the season. And I mean, honestly, if he does not play this year, I think that's a huge disappointment.
But at the other end, Mike, you have to look at what happened to a quarterback like Zach Wilson, an incredibly physically gifted guy behind a battered offensive line, and you saw what happened to him. That's the problem. You hopefully, and I was talking about this yesterday, you get one swing at drafting a franchise quarterback like this, because hopefully the Patriots won't have this high a pick ever again, or not for a long time. You do not want to mess this up. You don't want to ruin the kid's confidence behind a bad offensive line, do you?
I don't know. I don't really think Zach Wilson was ever like the man. I don't think if he was in the right situation that he'd be a starter in the league. I mean, I think he had one good year at the end of college in a crappy division in the league. I don't see that as Drake May. I don't worry about breaking quarterbacks. I think everybody looks at, Mac Jones is like, we broke him. Like, I think quarterbacks, Andy Hart, the guy I replaced, he's got a saying like diamonds don't break. Like, I kind of feel that way, and I just would rather know sooner than later on Drake May. And is there when's the offensive line going to be ready? When's it going to be perfect? All these teams that draft quarterbacks
just get it better than it is now. The offensive line is a mess at the moment. You don't know who the five guys are.
Is it? I mean, how much of a mess is it? Do you think it's the worst offensive line in the league?
I don't think they have a left tackle. I don't think they have a left tackle at all. You don't know where on one who's going to play.
Among the five worst, it could be
easily
right now.
Among the five worst.
I mean, like based on what we saw last year, Mike. Yeah, they're in the conversation.
They're bad.
Yeah,
but you guys look at the offenses. They had two new offenses last year. They haven't really even had an offensive line coach. So I get what you guys are saying. But I've seen Tom Brady go out there in week one with the all-star offensive line and get his ACL torn in week one. So, there's no like correlation between like, is your offensive line good enough to put a quarterback? Like, he's just got to play. Like, this is football. You can't sit there and wait around and be like, okay, we think everything's okay for him now. Go ahead, Drake. He's an athletic kid. He'll get out. Like, I get the concerns. You've got David Andrews. He's won Super Bowls. He's a center. I feel pretty good about him. I like Michael Onwenu. They're playing him at guard again. Maybe this kid, Caden Wallace, actually works out. A lot of people are high on right guard. So I know that there are problems on the offensive line, but all the doom and gloom that this is what's going to absolutely destroy the team and destroy Drake May, I don't really believe that. You want to talk about some of the weapons and the wide receiver? I can get on that page with that. But the offensive line and Drake May, I think it's just get him in there ASAP. I don't worry about it.
Well, look, I think that's a fair point about Drake May because it's because you agree with me. So it's because you agree with me, I'm behind you.
Good point.
100%. But really, like, if you think about what I'm really tired of is just going back to, hey, but look what happened to Mac Jones, Mike. Look what happened to Mac Jones. Can we talk about what happened to Mac Jones? Like, you would think if everybody has, like, you go to some places and it says, don't do this, don't feed the animals, stay off that, don't touch this. The Patriots took every don't do and did it with Mac Jones. Let me see. Don't give your young quarterback a defensive coordinator, a first-time defensive coordinator as an offensive coordinator. Don't bring in Joe Judge as the quarterback coach. Don't go through a session where you don't even name him. Remember, Bill Belichick wouldn't call his name for like 3 months. Yeah, or don't give your quarterback a situation where there are no weapons. They did so many things wrong with Mac Jones. To say that Drake May is in a similar situation, I think is overstepping. That's just going too far. They're not going to be that stupid again. They were really stupid in a lot of ways with Mac Jones.
Oh, it's head scratching. I mean, in a lot of ways, you look at the last 2 years, and I was like, what do we watch? Like, what were they trying to do there? And there's no easy, simple formula to just put, all right, this is how you develop a quarterback. But, having watched Mac Jones from week one, early training camp, even Jarrett Stidham, like, Bailey Zappi, like now I've had a chance to watch, a few rookie quarterbacks here develop since I've been in this job. And Drake May's different. Like he's like the total package. If he fails, it's not going to be because, well, he wasn't quite fast enough or he didn't quite have the arm. Some of those things that you heard, about Mac Jones that, some of his limitations, we knew what they were. And, it seemed like in 2021 that, all right, if he stays with Josh McDaniels and he knows, he gets kind of fed what to do, like he could compete. But once things started it just unraveled. And I mean, you listed off everything, Michael. I mean, it's we can go on and on about all the different things that went wrong for Mac Jones, what they did wrong for him, how he handled things wrongly. So I just have confidence in Drake May just in terms of having the physical skill set. You guys are right about the mental stuff. Like that scares everybody. We don't want to break this kid, but I still err on the side of get him in there, get him playing. If he's truly going to be a great quarterback that leads the Patriots back to prominence, you're not going to break him because you're not sure about your left tackle situation.
Mike Dussault is with Patriots.com. Deuce, you're known as the defensive guy. And through one day of camp, anything to change your mind in terms of where you're ranking them and how much you think this team can rely on the defense for at least the first part of the season?
Yeah, I mean, Hardy, I think the big question is Judon. I mean, he talked extensively yesterday. He wants a new deal, very vocal about it. And we're in a whole new area now with guys just kind of being like, this is how it is. I want a new contract. I'll play out. So it's a really tough situation. And I just think he's such an important player to this team. I mean, I would say he has been an important player. Of course, he's, going to turn 32 in a few weeks here. I mean, that's, getting up there, but they just don't have a lot of depth at pass rush. And, we saw last year he goes out, Josh Uche isn't quite as productive. And, there just isn't a lot of depth at pass rush. And I love Christian Barmore. I think he's disruptive, but you get on the defensive side of the ball. That's what it's about. You got to disrupt these quarterbacks. You got to have a guy off the edge that, is consistently a problem for offensive line. So that's my biggest question right now. I think it's the defense takes a big hit if something, if they don't work something out with Judon, or, is this going to hang over their head all year? We're going to hear about Matthew Judon contract check in October. Like, I don't think that that's going to be good for the team either. So I'm hopeful that, they figure something out and that he's in the mix. But you do look out there and, I do think that they have some question marks on defense, but there's a lot of really experienced guys out there that I think, going into some of these games, they're going to give that offensive fighting chance. I mean, I think they did it last year. They gave that offensive fighting chance. It's just a question of, can this offense start to click, start to inspire some confidence on the defensive side of the ball? And then all of a sudden, you've got a team that's coming together and playing that complementary football that, let's face it, really, we saw the defense play last year. We didn't see the offense or the special teams play.
Who's the best defensive player? We were having this conversation. Or who's the best player on the Patriots defense? Is Judon in the? How about this? Is Judon in the conversation?
I mean, I wish I could say absolutely yes, but I mean, getting to the point we're at where, we saw him for what, three games and change last year. I think Christian Gonzalez is going to be nipping at his heels from, what people have been kind of saying. You just see him. I mean, it's easy to look at that guy and see this guy, like Drake May. Like, these are the things we didn't really see in 2020. Like, there's real talent on the field. It's not, pervasive. It's certainly not, in some of the weapons positions that you'd love to see it there. But there are guys they're starting to build something here if this can come together. But I'm going to say Jabril Peppers is up there too. I think he's just an awesome player. I'm biased though. I love the guy. I love the way he plays. But I think he's another guy in a contract year. We talk about Judon, but I think he's a big cog too. And, he's right around Duggar's age. So you have, maybe two safeties. I think that's something, locking up Jabril Peppers, something maybe to look for in the next few months.
So Mike, really the real question, you mentioned Judon, he said he's not running his social media. Are you running his social media? Like, who is the person running Matthew Judon's social media and getting him into trouble?
No, I don't know, man. I think that he needs to talk to him or something. I don't really get it. I don't really get people who just let someone run their social media and put words in their mouth. And now everybody, you guys know, it's as simple as like, you put a like an emoji with like a thinking and nobody's like, oh my God, what's going on? People just go nuts for that stuff. So I don't know. I mean, Judon, he cracks me up with the recruiting stuff, but man, I just want to get him, kind of secured because I just think there's nobody else on the roster like him. And they need him this year.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.